All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the Local Marketing Masterclass by Windfall Elite. That's my company. My name is Devin Tracy. I am the CMO. Great to be doing this today. I'm excited. So let's go ahead and dive right in. I promise to you today is that I'm going to show you how to get more local customers using the #1 traffic source in America without wasting time and money on marketing that doesn't work. Now, to be very clear, everything I'm showing you today works for any business. However, it does have a sweet spot. And that sweet spot is local service providers. So whether that's a brick and mortar or whether you just have a geographical area that you serve, if you have a local service that you provide, then this is really going to be the most valuable marketing that you can probably ever learn. So if I know that when you hear that, if you're anything like me, the first question that comes to mind is, who is this guy and why should I listen to him? And frankly, I don't really like talking about myself that much, but I think it's a fair question. So let me go ahead and answer this kind of quickly for you. So a little bit about me. I have over a decade of experience in education. I know you probably didn't see that coming, but I am a school teacher by trade. In that time frame, I racked up nearly 9,000 hours of teaching experience, and I worked in public schools, tribal schools, private schools, elementary schools, middle schools, junior highs, high schools, community college. I worked in the US, I worked in Canada, I worked in India. And all that means I know how to teach. Okay. Now, if you are like me, when you hear that, you probably remember the quote from the School of Rock, those who can't do, teach. That's why I think it's fair that you should know that I have a little bit of experience as a business owner as well. In fact, I've over 10 years of marketing experience. And in that time frame, I've worked with 1,138 clients to date. If we're being really honest, today isn't about me. So I don't want to talk about me. Let's talk about some other people for a second. I don't know if you know who this is, but this is a guy named Kevin Harrington. And I think this is cool.
Hi, I'm Kevin Harrington, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank. If you're a small, service-based business looking for exclusive, high-quality leads delivered to you in real time, then look no further than Nick and Devin at Windfall Elite. They're two of the best digital marketers in North America today, personally mentored by one of Forbes 30 Under 30. Having worked with Nick and Devin, I can tell you that you will be impressed. If you need help getting consistent leads, I encourage you to reach out to Nick and Devin to see how they can help you grow your business.
I think that's cool. And while Kevin is definitely the highest profile testimonial we've ever gotten, he's not by any stretch of the imagination the only. Let me give you some others. So this is Chris. Chris said, before we started working together, I had 3 clients, and now I'm up to 11. I need to hire someone to help me take on more clients. This is Lily. Lily said, Devin is the reason I have a client right now. Can't recommend Devin enough. This is Jenny. Jenny said, I'm in awe of Devin's expertise. He's helping me so much, and I appreciate him. This is Kian. Kian said, I had an amazing call with a prospect today. She ended up saying yes to the $5,900 package. Fun fact, we had crystallized that package the day prior. This is Keith. Keith said, I gained 10 new clients because of following the proven methods that Devin Tracy suggests. And this is CJ. CJ said, I've made more offers to new clients since working with Devin than I have all year. I actually closed the deal and somebody gave me money to do work, which is awesome. And it is awesome. I'm incredibly grateful that I've had the opportunity to work with so many business owners and get these kind of stories. If we're being really honest, today's not about them either. Today is about you. It's about where you could be in a month or a year or 5 years. So, because I told you I'm a teacher by trade, I'm going to spend the rest of this time, instead of doing the classic webinar sales pitchy vibe that you're getting right now, I'm going to spend the rest of this time actually teaching. So let's get started. Here is our roadmap for today. We are going to cover what is SEO, your Google Business Profile or Google My Business. You'll see that I try to use both interchangeably throughout here. That's because it used to be called the Google My Business Listing, and then they changed its name to Google Business Profile. So I lean towards the newer term, Google Business Profile, but in case you've heard either, I have intentionally done what I can to use both language throughout this talk. So then we're going to talk about how to do keyword research, Then we're going to talk about on-page SEO, and we're going to talk about off-page SEO, and finally we're going to wrap up with Google Ads. So when you see that, maybe you've already figured out what the #1 traffic source in America is. And this is an objective fact. It is simply the data. The #1 traffic source in America for any service-based business is Google. So before we do that, I think we should talk a little bit about what Google looks like and how Google operates. And this will kind of explain why we're going in the order we're going in. So this is a search engine result page. I searched chiropractor near me. And here's what showed up. This is what you see. And if you scroll down a little bit further, it looks like this. So this is one page. You have to scroll to get to that second part. And here's the breakdown of how this works. By the way, 1.2 million people every single month are searching for this in the United States on Google. So the first thing that you see here, the first section that you see here, it says sponsored. Yeah, that section is actually where all the ads live. And right now in this search engine results page, there are only one ad. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two, sometimes there's three, four, as many as 5. No matter how many ads there are, they share about 20% of the traffic. When there's one ad, it gets about 20% of the traffic. That's really good. When there's 5 ads, each one gets about 4% of traffic. That's good. The next section here, this is what we call the Google Local Map Pack. Google's top 3 recommendations next to the map showing where you can find them in the city. And this gets a lot of traffic. It's about 50%, actually 52% of the traffic goes here. It breaks down like this. Top spot, it's 15% of the traffic. Second spot, it's 15% of the traffic. Third spot, it's 15% of the traffic. And by the way, the difference here isn't in ranking, which is interesting. Is actually once you get to the top 3, whoever gets the most traffic is going to be whoever has the most reviews. Reviews matter a lot. And then you notice that equals 45, but I said it equals 52, right? This more places button, it's about 8% of the traffic. Actually, really good. If you keep scrolling past that, you get to organic search results. Top spot right there, #1 spot, that gets about 12% of all the traffic. The #2 spot gets about 6% of all the traffic. And then the #3 spot, about 3% of all the traffic. And then the remaining 7 spots on page 1, spots 4 plus, they share 3% of traffic. This is backwards. This should be facing the other way. It should make a little heart because it's less than 3% of traffic. If you add all that up, you're going to be like, wait a minute, Devin, that only equals 96%. That's right. Because the other 4% never click on anything. And that's how local search engines break down. It's different when you're searching questions. But when you're making local searches for local businesses or local services, which is going up, by the way, while all other search is dying right now, local searches for local businesses is increased by about 400% in the last 2 years. And when you're searching for something locally, this is what Google looks like. So we're going to go in that order. You saw a priority list. Here, I'm going to go back for a second. You saw a priority list. You should see, evidently, the highest priority is going to be getting here. Next is probably going to be top spot. Then running Google Ads. And so that's the order we're going to approach. We're going to start with the Google Business Profile, then we're going to go into organic, and then we're going to go to Google Ads because that's what's most worth your time. You want to focus on the highest leverage wins possible, and 15%, and unless there's only one ad being ran, but usually 15% is the most traffic you can get in any one location on a SERP, search engine result page. So we're going to start here. Then we're going to get to #1. That's the next biggest one, right? So now that's going to give us 27% of traffic. Then we're going to run ads, and the ads are going to get us between 4 to 20% of the traffic. So we can reasonably safely say maybe 8% is a really good estimate. So we're going to get 15, 27 plus 8. We're going to get 35% of traffic. And when we do that, we're going to have a moat between us and all of our competitors because nobody else can replicate that. Nobody else can get 12% of the traffic there. That's our order. That's our process. Before we do any of that, I want to start really high level because it's really hard to wrap your head around what we're supposed to do if we don't even understand the game we're trying to play. So what is SEO? SEO stands for search engine optimization. It's the practice of optimizing a website to improve its visibility and rankings on search engine results pages which in the industry we like to call SERPs. The goal of SEO is to attract organic, non-paid traffic from search engines by ensuring that the site appears as high as possible for relevant search queries. And there are 4 components of SEO. We're going to talk about them all today. There's on-page SEO, there's off-page SEO, there's technical SEO, and then there is local SEO. We're going to get into all of them. So, how does Google work? Great question. Glad you asked. You don't understand how it works, and you don't understand what the game you're playing. So here's how Google works, high level. Google has what we call a crawler bot, and that crawler bot follows links through the internet and indexes them on its way. So what it does is it goes to a website, it reads the red page, it scans everything, it takes notes of that, it puts it into its own files. That's what it means to index. And then it finds a link on that page, it clicks it, goes to the page that links it to, and it goes again. By doing this, Google's index is a copy of almost the entire World Wide Web. I say almost for 2 reasons, because there are pages that are blocked from the crawler. They can't rank on Google. And then there are pages that are just too new and they haven't been indexed yet, but they will be indexed within a month. That's because Google actually indexes the entire internet once every single month. So when you enter a search into Google, it pulls relevant results from its index, not from the internet, from its own index. So this is what the process looks like. You enter a search query, you type something into Google, Google goes to its own index, and then from its index, it pulls out results and links back to those pages on the internet, and it ranks them in the order that Google believes is most likely what you are looking for. So Google wants those earliest results to be the things you click on, because that means it showed you what you wanted right away. It's also important to note that Google's ranking algorithm is secret. It has more than 200 factors. So everything that we're talking about when it comes to how to rank on Google, Google will not confirm or deny. It's all based on third-party data. So let's talk about your Google Business profile and your Google My Business. Let's talk about that. By the way, this page right here, when we're done with it, is going to be the most important page of the day. It's going to be the one page, if you take a picture, it's going to be the picture you want to take. Because it's how to rank your Google Business profile. This works about 80% of the time. This one slide is all you need to outrank everybody on the Google Business profile in a couple months. 20% of the time, come talk to me. I'll help you out. I'll help you with the gap. So, number 1, first thing you have to do, you have to claim your Google Business profile. If you don't have it, you can't rank it. Number 2, and this is crazy, but nobody does it. Complete your Google Business profile. The average Google Business profile is actually only about 45% complete. And everything that Google's asking for is because Google wants to rank you when it's appropriate. So tell Google everything it wants to know. 3, you need to choose the right business categories. Google lets you choose 1 primary category and up to 9 secondary categories. And then you have to pick from a list, so you want to make sure they're relevant. So my advice is make the primary category not only the thing that's closest related to what you do, but the thing that has the highest search volume that's closely related to what you do. And then make as many secondary categories as you can, as long as they are related. You want to optimize your business description. This, by the way, is kind of interesting. I think I have a couple points on it. Yeah, I do. Okay. So writing a compelling business description, use keywords in it. It helps. So if you don't know what a keyword is, we're going to get to that later. Right now, you just think, okay, I will just put whatever my category is, my primary category, in my description. Here's a big one. Okay? The descriptions can be no longer than 750 characters. So you have to keep it to 750 characters. But within that range, we have found the longer the description, the better it ranks. You want to write a full description. You need consistent NAP information all across the internet. NAP is just an acronym. It stands for name, address, and phone number. Because Google crawls the entire internet every single month. It finds your business somewhere, but it finds that your name or your address or your phone number, if one of those 3 elements is not corresponding properly, it's not right, then Google's confused. Doesn't know what's going on with your business. Anytime Google is confused, its response is to derank you because they don't want their users to be confused. So make sure you have consistent NAP. And by consistent NAP, zoom in on the phone number. Make sure it's a local phone number. The Google Business profile can only rank locally, which is why this is such a big deal for local service businesses. You can only rank locally. Make sure you have a local phone number, because when you're trying to rank in a town, but then your phone number is from a different state, that's confusing. Whenever Google's confused, it deranks you. Then you want to collect and respond to reviews. This one's so important. We're going to spend the next several slides talking about it. Add high quality photos. Interesting thing that we found, if you add high resolution photos every month, you will rank better over time. Use Google's Q&A feature. Regularly update your business hours. And what we mean by regularly here is just that you need to make sure that they're accurate. And so, because somebody writes in and recommends a different business hour, that actually is really harmful to your ranking because it means that you gave a bad customer experience. So you want to make sure your business hours are constantly updated properly. You're always right. You want to post regularly on your Google Business profile. So the updates, treat them like mini blog posts. Make one a week. It's a good pattern and it helps you rank better because Google likes it when you use Google. And then finally, stay informed about Google algorithm updates because everything I just said, as with everything today, is always subject to change, especially in the fast-paced world of technological growth we're currently in. I said I'm going to zoom in on collecting and responding to reviews, why it's so important. So let's talk about that for a minute. Why you need to reply to reviews. You know that 89% of consumers read companies' responses to reviews. That's according to a Bright local survey. So 9 out of 10 people will actually not only read the review, but they'll read your response. People are reading it. Why does that matter? Well, consumers spend up to 49% more at businesses that reply to the reviews, according to Wampley. 49% more. And what that translates to mathematically, businesses that reply to more than 25% of their reviews earn 35% more revenue than average. So I just told you how you can earn 35% more revenue than your average competitor right now, and 35% more revenue than you're earning on average right now. Simply start replying to all of your reviews. And it says 25%. That was what the study did. I say reply to all of them, and I'll tell you why in a minute, because replying to reviews is incredibly valuable for us. So with that being said, what percentage of businesses reply to reviews? Well, this is going to shock you. Only about 25% respond, which means 75% do not respond. But way more importantly than that, of the 25% that do respond, they only respond to 20% of reviews. But Wampley's survey was based on if you reply to 25% or more, which means you can beat all of your competitors just by replying to your reviews. So with that in mind, it begs the question, why aren't businesses replying to their reviews? And you know, I've worked with a lot of business owners, and so I just started asking them. And here's the answers that I get over and over again. Lack of time or resources. Just don't have the time to reply to reviews. No strategy around it, which comes up in a lot of ways, but that's, you know, when I try to truncate it up, they just don't have a strategy. They just don't think about it. They don't know how. They don't have a process. They don't have a SOP in place, right? Fear of bad reviews is a real one. You get negative reviews and you don't know how to deal with them, so you ignore them. Unaware of their reviews. This one's really common. They don't even know whether or not they're getting reviews. And no idea how replying to reviews helps them. Well, we just talked about that one, so that's not an excuse you get anymore. I'm going to eliminate all the other excuses too. Well, for one, lack of time. What else takes 5 minutes a week that gets you a 35% increase in your revenue? You have time, right? Like you have time. Okay, so that one's gone. So, unaware of reviews, check Google. 35% increase in revenue. Check Google. So really all we got to talk about is develop an SOP, have a strategy, and get rid of that fear of bad reviews. So handle them properly. So with that in mind, let's do just that. I'll give you a strategy. I'm going to give you the standard operating procedure of how to reply to every review you ever get. And the really cool thing about this is that this actually turns all reviews into new business. It turns positive reviews into lead magnets, and it turns negative reviews into 5-star experiences that get customers. Now that sounds wild, but it really does, and it's really simple. So we're going to start with the easy one. No one's ever afraid of positive reviews. But we're going to start there so we can build an SOP. So here's the secret. Here's the secret sauce. Respond to the person reading the review, not the person writing the review. Why? Because there's only one person who wrote the review, but hundreds of people are going to read it. So respond to the person reading. Okay? And here's our process. I'm going to give you the step-by-step. Okay? Step 1, thank them for their positive review. Simple. Be friendly. People like friendly people. Step 2, reiterate your commitment to all of your customers because the reader doesn't know it. Step 3, tell the writer how valuable they are. But Devin, I thought the secret strategy was to reply to the reader, not the reviewer. Exactly. When you tell the writer how valuable they are, the reader sees how much you care about your customers. And then step 4, this is a big one. People miss this, but it's real. Have a call to action. Now, I don't think your call to action should be trying to sell the person again. I think that looks sleazy and scummy. But you can have soft call to actions, things like don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Don't forget about the special we have coming up in next month. Hey, don't forget about Mother's Day. Hey, join our newsletter. Those kind of call to actions, valuable. And here's what that looks like in the real world. Here's an example of one done fairly well. Joan, we appreciate that you took the time to express how pleased you are with our company. It goes a long way. From the start, we made it our goal to hire individuals who are passionate about service and going that extra mile. When you take the time to send us feedback, we always listen and learn. It really does mean a lot to us. We're always here for you. Please contact us anytime. And don't forget to join our mailing list for exclusive offers. Thanks again. Really good, right? Someone reads that and they're like, this is a great company. I'm going to join their mailing list. Right? Now, no one's afraid of positive reviews, but now we have a good SOP that works really well. We know that we can train it. It can be done quickly. Let's deal with negative reviews. Notice how everything changed except the secret strategy? We're still responding to the reader, not the writer. And here's the thing with negative reviews, okay? You know what's going on. You know what happened. You know when you did drop the ball, and you know when the person who wrote the review is crazy and this had nothing to do with you, and they actually got a phenomenal service, and they're just not all there. Here's the problem. If you respond to the review by telling them how stupid they are, no matter how stupid they are, you look petty. And nobody wants to do business with you. So here's what you do no matter what situation happens. When you get a negative review, you start by saying thank you. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. You take full responsibility for everything you can possibly take responsibility for. You reiterate your commitment because the reader doesn't know your commitment. And then instead of a call to action, you tell the writer to contact you so you can make it right. Because now the reader sees, oh, something went wrong. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I didn't know it went wrong. I am so sorry. That is not the way this is supposed to go. I am going to fix this for you because my commitment to my customers is that they all get a 5-star experience. So you're going to get a 5-star experience with us. Contact us so we can make this right. I read that, and this 1-star review convinces me to work with this company. Right? So now your 1-star reviews are lead magnets. They're business generating machines because they turn 1-star reviews into 5-star experiences and therefore into customers. Because you know people only ever read 2 reviews, right? They only read the 5 stars and the 1 stars. They skip all the middle stuff. That's how you fix it. This is what this looks like in the wild. Hello, Dennis. First off, please allow me to apologize and thank you for bringing this issue to our attention. Our mission statement is focused on making certain our customers come first. We are looking into this matter right now. Your situation was an exception, and we are looking at resolving the matter right away. We're going to do something to resolve the matter so that you will have a 5-star experience with us. Please contact us. Thanks again for your honest feedback. How good that is? So we've handled the biggest thing that's going to make you the most amount of money out of everything that I've talked about today. If you just do that and you get nothing else from the rest of the talk, you will still make more money than all of your competitors. And you can go home saying, yes, this was a valuable presentation. You're welcome. But if you want more, you want a lot more, let's get a lot more. You want more information on how to win the Google Local Map Pack for that 20% of the time when that's not sufficient? We have a free ebook. Scan the QR code and you can get that. Moving on. All right, we're going to talk now about keyword research. Don't know what a keyword is? Don't worry, we're going to talk about that first. What is a keyword? Keyword is a word or a phrase that users enter into search engines when they are looking for information, products, or services. It's whatever you type into Google. Whether it was a word or a sentence or a paragraph, that's the keyword. Okay? There are several types of keywords. We're only going to talk about the types that matter for our businesses. So we have short tail keywords, or sometimes these are called head terms, or seed terms. Short tail keywords are 1 or 2 words. They have a very high search volume, but they also have very high competition. Why I mention that is because we really don't want to waste time trying to rank for short tail keywords. Too high competition. And a lot of other reasons too. We're going to talk about all of them. Okay? There are long tail keywords. These are longer and more specific phrases, like best running shoes for women. They have lower search volume, but they also have lower competition. And another really important thing to know about this is the majority of searches are actually long tail keywords. That's really good for us. What does that mean? It means even though best running shoes for women doesn't get as many searches as shoes, best running shoes for women, best running shoes for men, best running shoes for children, best running shoes for pregnant women, best gym shoes for men, best gym shoes for women, best gym shoes for children, best gym shoes for pregnant women, and on and on and on. Those collectively get more searches than shoes. And they're all easier to rank for. So we can rank for all of those search terms and get more business than if we were trying to rank for shoes, not only because we'll never rank for it, but also because even if we did, it wouldn't get as much total traffic. And then there's geo-targeted keywords. These are words that by their nature are local. So Italian restaurant in Chicago or a restaurant near me. This is where we come. Those are good for us. I want to tell you one other thing about long tail versus short tail. So you know this, because I want you to really understand we need to be targeting long tail keywords. Targeting just means that's intentionally what we're trying to rank for. So here is a graph by SEMrush. Fantastic company. Look them up. Not my company. Fantastic company. I wish I were. They're great. Long tail keywords. We have search volume. And then on this side, we have conversion rate. Okay. So when you have a short tail keyword like tomato plant, you can see that it has a pretty high search volume. 12,000 people every month are searching for tomato plants. But you can see that when they search for it, conversion rate's very low. They don't do anything with it. What does that mean? It means if I search tomato plant and then you show up for tomato plant, I'm not going to click on it because it's not what I was looking for. Because the more specific you get, the more likely it's exactly what you were looking for. If you have a page on your website that is designed to rank for why are my tomato plants turning yellow, and then someone types into Google, why are my tomato plants turning yellow, they're going to click on it because it's exactly what they were looking for. But if they were looking for why my tomato plants are turning yellow, and they typed in tomato plant, and then you have best price for tomato plants, that's not what they wanted, right? So the long tail keywords get more search volume total. They're easier to rank for individually, and they get higher conversion rates. So that's more money, more money, more money. We're only focusing on long tail keywords. It's how we win. So there's some standards you need to understand for the keywords you decide to go after before we talk about how to find the ones we want. We want to only rank for relevant and attract right visitors. Not every keyword is right for us. We want to make sure that they have good search volume. It doesn't mean to be crazy high, but we don't want it to be 0. And I thought I had it up there, so I'm just going to say it. We also want to make sure we can beat the competition. We want to make sure we can beat the competition. We'll talk about how. Okay. How to conduct keyword research. There's 3 steps to this. The first step of this is probably the most hand-wavy thing that I have in this entire presentation. Step 1, you develop a list of seed keywords. These are these are short tail keywords. I have it written somewhere. Yeah. So start with broad general terms, 1 to 3 words max. Start with short tail keywords. Those aren't what we want to rank for, but they're the easier things for us to brainstorm. Come up with as many terms as you possibly can. Fill them out into a spreadsheet of possible words we might want to rank for, like window cleaning or cleaning services. And here's the hand-wavy part. How do we find that list initially? Well, here's my advice and what I would do and what I do. So, 1, just brainstorm. Just sit down and think, what would I think maybe I want to rank for? You know your business. Brainstorm. After you've exhausted that, go to your own website and see what you're already talking about on your website. And once you've done that, go to your local competitors' websites and see what they're talking about. And when you do just that, you're going to have a pretty long list. You're going to come up with a couple hundred potential keywords, which is good. You want as long of a list as possible. Step 2, we're going to use tools like Keywords Everywhere or Sparky. Sparky's ours. I'll talk about Sparky a little bit in a minute. To find related keywords. So Keywords Everywhere is a tool that I've been using for a very long time. It used to be free, no longer free. They keep changing their pricing model on me. It just helps you find long tail keywords. So what you do with Keywords Everywhere is you download the Chrome extension, you pay for it, you go to Google, you type in your seed keyword, and then it's going to pop up a list of all these other possible keywords you could rank for. Or you could use Sparky, our software tool, which we've developed to be a complete solution as an SEO software tool. It's also 100% free, and it does the same thing. You just go into our tool, and you go to our keyword research tool, and you type in your seed keyword, and it will generate a list of other related keywords for you. And then from that, you start getting a long list. Step 3 is you filter the list down. So use Keywords Everywhere or Sparky to get a long list of long tail keywords. And then you start filtering the keywords you're going to go down because it's too much. But that's good. That's the healthy way to do it. This is the proper way to do this process. Okay. So remove keywords that you're not going to use. Create groups, subtopics such as floor cleaning and window cleaning. Separate tabs in the spreadsheets. Basically, all I'm saying here is the more organized you are with your keyword research, the more helpful it'll be long term because you can use it for 6 or 12 months at a time. So just being organized is helpful. Here's an example of a, this was keywords for Windfall Elite once upon a time. We were like SEO agency, SEO marketing agency, digital marketing agency. These are all the seed keywords that we kind of came up with. Then you can see down here that I broke into different subcategories that maybe I'm going to try to target. GMB, maybe I'll target that. Google My Business, maybe I'll target that. Digital marketing, maybe I'll target that, right? Start separating it out. And then each of those has my long tail keywords in it that associate with those big topics. Some keyword research tools that you can use to do this part. You could use Keywords Everywhere. That's the one I mentioned. I like them a lot. They're great. And they're not expensive, by the way. I did mention you have to pay for them now, but they are not expensive. Very affordable. You could use Ubersuggest. Also one that I use a lot and I think is great. We use it for our agency. It costs about $100 a month at the tier that we use it for currently. I don't know what it would cost you. Maybe it's free. Look into it. Or you could use Sparky. This one's ours. QR codes for Sparky. I can give you that one. That's also 100% free and a really cool tool. All right, so far we've talked about what search terms we want to rank for and how to find them. Now we're going to talk about what exactly we need to do on our website to make sure we rank for those search terms. On-page SEO. There's a lot here. So what is on-page SEO? Well, it's individually optimizing web pages, one page at a time throughout your website, in order to earn a higher ranking on search engine results pages or SERPs. There are there's so much. There is so much that we could talk about what you ideally do on every web page in order to make it completely optimized. I want to give you the 80-20 of this. I want this to be practical. I want this to be useful right here, right now. So we're only going to talk about the topics that really matter the most according to our data. So with that, we're going to talk about your page title or your title tab. We're going to talk about your meta description. We're going to talk about your slugs. That's just the part of the URL that comes after the .com /. We're going to talk about your heading tags. We're going to talk about image alt text. We're going to talk about outbound links. We're going to talk about internal links. And I think search intent. Nope, that's it. Internal links. I think I used to talk about search intent, and I realized that when we're talking 80-20, we don't need it anymore. So there's 7 things that we need to understand. That's the overview. Now I'm going to zoom in on each one of those individually and talk about it. And I wish, by the way, that I could show you how to do this on your web builder. Problem is that every business has a different web builder. So there's no uniform process for this. You have to find these things. I can just tell you what they are and how to think about them. So, page title. You look at this little SERP snippet I have up there, the page title doesn't show up on the web page. You don't see it on the website at all. You see it in the search engines. The page title is that part in blue, Impact Chiropractic, voted top Fort Collins Chiropractic. That's what shows up, okay? So most search engines will only show the first 60 characters of a title. Translation, keep it under 60 characters. Write a unique title for every page on your website. Don't ever copy any. Why not? Because if you have two different web pages that both have the same exact title tag, then what you're doing is you're telling Google, a robot, that these pages are the same exact topic. And when they're about the same exact topic, Google doesn't know how to prioritize them. It gets confused. And anytime Google is confused, it deranks you so that its users aren't confused. Okay, write a title that someone would actually be enticed to click on, because that is what gets you traffic, is that human beings are interested in it. Try to put your focus keyword at the beginning of the title. What's a focus keyword, Devin? Remember those keywords that we researched, we figured out exactly what we wanted to rank for? Each and every page is going to be designed to rank for one of those keywords. And that is the focus keyword. It is the one thing we're trying to rank this page for. Okay. So put your focus keyword at the beginning of the title. Definitely make sure it's in the title, because that is what people search for when they found it. So you want it to align. And then you can use your brand if you still have 60 characters at the end of the title. These guys got it completely backwards. Impact Chiropractic is their brand name. That's not what people are searching. People are searching chiropractor near me. So if they had said voted top Fort Collins chiropractor, Impact Chiropractic, that would have been better. They would get a higher click rate. They're probably doing fine. They get a higher click rate if they made that switch. And here's another one. You want to not overuse your keywords in your focus. So if the title allowed me, if I wanted to have a page rank for SEO, which we know we'd never do because that's a short tail keyword, I couldn't win for that. But if I wanted to try, I would not have my title say SEO, 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 SEO. It doesn't work. That's called keyword stuffing. It worked before 2012. It doesn't work anymore. We don't do it. Next, meta descriptions. What is your meta description? This also does not show up on the web page. It shows up again on the search engine. So Impact Chiropractic, the blue part, that is your title tag. The gray stuff under it is the meta description. It's the description of what the page is about. So here are rules for how we optimize that for search engine. Most search engines will only show the first 155 characters of your meta description. Therefore, only write 155 characters. This is written description of a web page. It is used to describe the content within a page and to entice the user to click on the page. Shows it below the search. I'm sorry, shows it before the title in search. We want to make sure that you use your keywords, but not overuse them. And we want to include a CTA in the meta description when we can. The two big things. And again, don't duplicate your meta description. Why not? Because as soon as you do, you're telling Google's robot that these two pages are about the same exact thing, which is confusing. And whenever Google's confused, it deranks you so that its users are not confused. Don't duplicate your meta descriptions. All right, slugs. This is the URL. It's what comes after the .com. This is a specific part of a URL which identifies a specific page on a web page, website. You want to keep this descriptive and short, under 5 words ideally. You want to make sure that you include your keyword in the slug. You want to leave out function words like the, and, is, etc. And every page has a different slug. This isn't a choice, it's forced. So if 2 pages are similar, the more important page should have the shorter slug. I think I have one more bullet point. We want to avoid dates in our slugs. Never change your slugs. So if you read this and you're like, oh, I gotta go change every single URL on my website, hold on. The only time it's okay to change a slug is if you know for a fact that it is not being linked to by anybody else on the internet. If you don't know that, leave it. Why? Because getting a link to your website from somebody else's, we're going to talk about this in a minute later, but that is way more important of a ranking factor than anything about the slug's structure. It's not that big of an impact comparatively to other SEO factors, but it is an impact. So the rule here is don't change your existing slugs. Moving forward, use this schema when making new pages. And you will be making a lot of pages because it is the only way to win on Google. And don't keyword stuff your slug. Again, I don't want winfollowlead.com /SEO. Doesn't work. All right, heading tags. By the way, we just got to the first thing about on-page SEO that you can see on the page. So we're finally seeing things on our webpage, which is cool. All right, so technically a heading tag, the piece of HTML code that's used to identify headings and subheadings within the content on your website's pages. But most website builders just have it be a button that you click and you say which heading level you want to use. There are 6 heading levels, H1 through H6. H1 is the primary, H2 is the secondary, H3 is tertiary, and so on and so forth. So the main purpose of a heading tag is using them to categorize your content so that it's user-friendly. Headings and subheadings make it easy for readers to scan through your content and still understand what it is about. So it's meant for users' experience. And because Google cares about their user experience, Google cares about your heading tags. So H1 through H6 is a hierarchy system and should be used as a hierarchy system. So think of it as like when you have an outline for a paper, H1 is the topic, H2 is the big bullet points, and then H3s are the like sub bullet points, and then you can sub delineate as you need to, and that's the structure you should be following. And the most important thing about it, as best as we can tell, every page should have exactly one H1 because the H1 is what the page is about. So if there's 0 H1s, the page isn't about anything, Google's confused, it doesn't let you rank. There are 2 H1s or 3 H1s or 9 H1s. I found a web page on my website recently that has 9 H1s. Big problem. Then you're telling Google that this web page is about 9 unique things. No wonder it's not ranking. Google's confused, therefore it won't rank it. Google, by the way, says that their crawler bot has gotten sophisticated enough that this isn't that big of a deal anymore. All the data says that they're wrong. All the data says that H1 still matters a lot. Oh, and include your keyword in your H1 whenever possible. Also a good rule of thumb, include your keyword in your H2s and your H3s when you can and it makes sense. All right, image alt text. Image alt text is or alternate attributes, depending on what your web builder says. This is the alternative text for an image on a website. If an image fails to load, the alt text shows up in its place. The alt text is used to describe the appearance and function of an image. It's also how images rank on Google Images. To write alt text, you want to write descriptively. The image alt text needs to be descriptive and helpful if someone can't see your image. The alt text should describe it in a way that helps them understand what it represents. Stick to the point. Just said to write descriptively. Now I'm saying stick to the point. Do both. When you are writing an alt text, you're limited to 125 characters. So even though you want to be descriptive, you also got to be to the point. And finally, use your keyword. Alt text is another opportunity for you to add your target keyword into a page. This is a hierarchy system. This is the highest priority. This is the second highest priority. This is the third highest priority. If you can't naturally include the keyword in the alt text because it doesn't make sense, don't. Because you are actually doing a better job, ranking better, simply by filling out the alt text descriptively about what the image is than by trying to use your keyword. Why? Because Google actually cares a lot about accessibility. The alt text is meant for people who are vision impaired, so they can still understand your website. So when you don't fill out alt text, you're telling Google you don't care about accessibility, and you will get deranked for that. But if instead you fill out the alt text descriptively and it's clear that you're describing the actual image, Google appreciates that. Keyword stuffing, as in just having your keyword in every alt text and no other text especially, if it doesn't make sense, it's clearly not describing an image, Google will harm your ranking over that because Google's offended by that. And they should be, because we should try to make our websites accessible. It just makes sense. All right, outbound links or external links. This is a website. This is a link from your webpage to another website on the internet. Usually, these are used as methods of fact verification. At the very beginning of this talk, I quoted Bright Local Survey and I quoted Womply. Had it been on a web page, I could have made those hyperlinks linking to the source where I got that information. And that would be a method of fact verification, and that would be an outbound link. It increases your relevance, improves your reputation, it boosts value, encourages backlinks. Most importantly, all that stuff I'm breezing through because the thing you need to know, it helped you rank better. So the ideal is when you write a full blog post, which you do have to write full blog posts regularly in order to rank on Google. It's an unavoidable reality. You want to add 2 to 3 outbound links to every blog post you publish on your site. 2 to 3. Then there's internal links. Okay? Internal links are a hyperlink that directs a user to another page on your website. So these help search engines and users find more of your content. So you also want 2 to 3 internal links per blog post, but it's also important. I want to make a clarification. There's different types of internal links. There are navigational links. These show up in headers, footers, navigation bars. They're not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about are contextual links. These are links that are in the text of the article. You want to link to your own blog post in the text of the current blog post. And obviously, you can't do this very well when you're very first starting off, but as you start making more and more content, it's easier and easier to loop back. And it keeps things fresh in mind for you. You'll find that it actually has multiple benefits in addition to being helpful to your SEO. Okay, now that we talked about all the factors that really matter, let me tell you about on-page SEO strategy. This is the playbook for you. This is exactly what you want to do. Step 1, you want to run a full SEO audit. You want to check for broken links, duplicate content, missing meta tags, and page load speed. You want to create a list of all pages and their current SEO status. Here's one. Use tools like Google Search Console, Ahrefs, or SEMrush. They can help you with it. Or SPARKY. Remember that tool I mentioned, SPARKY? Yeah, not only does it do keyword research, but SPARKY will do a site audit for you, also for free. Step 2, once you've done the site audit, you want to fix all the SEO mistakes that you found in the audit. Go through and optimize all those things. Fix everything according to the process and the rules that I just talked to you about. And then step 3, once your site has that foundation built, it's actually built in a way where it can rank, then create a plan for regular blog posting on your site. You want to follow all the best practices that we talked about today. And step 4 is by far the most important step in this entire thing. It's the thing that matters, and it's where most people fall short. Step 4, execute your plan militantly. If you're not creating regular content, if you're not using the keyword research that you've done, if you're not actually trying to win, and you're not following through by making content every single week, ideally, then none of all the work we just did matters at all. And you're not going to get that top spot for any search terms. All right, that was on-page SEO. Now let's talk about off-page SEO. What is off-page SEO? Well, it's actions taken outside of your website to help increase your rankings in search engine results pages. Okay? Because the reality is, you absolutely need, you cannot avoid the fact that you need to create regular content in order to rank well on Google. And just having high quality content will not earn your page a high ranking. You need to do more. That's why people hire SEO agencies like mine, because there's a lot of work to it. Okay, primary off-page SEO factors. For on-page SEO factors, we had 7 that we really, really cared about. Off-page is easier. There is 1. Link building or backlinks. So what are backlinks? A backlink is a link on another site that directs to a page on your site. So link from somebody else's site to your site. Backlinks kind of work like upvotes on Reddit. The more you get, the higher you rank. Search engines see backlinks as a vote of confidence for your website's content. This can help your site's rankings and search engine results pages. Now, as soon as I say that, the more you get, the better you rank, which is true. People often go away and then they find these things that sell backlinks. And they go, oh, I need that. And they go and they purchase backlinks. So don't do that. Google Penguin is a thing. Okay? What is Google Penguin, you ask? Well, Google Penguin is an algorithm update from back in 2012. Back in 2012, Google started fixing their algorithm, adjusting their code to penalize websites that use spammy tactics, which is why all along I've been saying don't keyword stuff. Google Penguin, don't keyword stuff. Google Penguin don't buy backlinks. Okay? Because bad backlinks will hurt your ranking. What are bad backlinks? Well, if they're from a low quality site, the site has a high spam score or a low domain authority score. Bad site. They're from an irrelevant site. The site has nothing to do with what your site does. They're from a link buying scheme. This is the big one. If someone is selling a backlink, it's part of a link buying scheme. As soon as a site is identified as being part of a link buying scheme, links from it harm all sites. So don't buy backlinks. You have to earn them. Benefits of backlinks. I'm going to breeze through this. They get you referral traffic. They increase in your authority. They give you faster indexing. Important thing, they help with your SEO. Backlinks are probably the number one, as best we can tell, backlinks look as though they are most likely the number one most important factor in your ranking. Backlink factors. Quantity. The more backlinks to a website, the more popular it is. Links equal votes, the better it ranks. Relevance. The more closely related to the linking site is to your site, the better it is for you. Authority or popularity. The domain authority and overall traffic that a site gets, the higher those are, the better its backlink is for you. And then finally, diversity. 100 links from one site isn't as helpful for you as one link each from 100 different sites. You want variety. So I told you a lot about backlinks. The big question you should be asking is, how do I get them? How do I get backlinks? Well, when I first gave this presentation, I had 5 ways of getting backlinks. As time goes on, things are getting harder for us. I am down to 3. There are 3 ways that I know of to get backlinks that are highly effective, consistent, that I would recommend. And they're either not guaranteed and a lot of work, guaranteed low volume and a lot of work, or one fun one that I'll share at the end. But they're a lot of work. Backlinks are hard. So 3 time-tested strategies for backlinks. Number 1 is what we call a listicle. A listicle is just an article that is a list. You combine those 2 words, you get listicle. A listicle is a combination of a list and an article. Listicle. If you write a high-quality listicle of something in your niche, people will link to it and share it on social media. Will they really, Devin? How do you know that? I don't. What I'm actually saying here is that listicles are the highest, listicles have the highest probability of going viral of all written content. When you write a high quality listicle in your niche, it can become what's known as an anchor text or an anchor piece that people start using and reading, and then people start linking to your website as fact verification because you wrote a really, really good listicle and they use it. And then all you have to do is get a couple people to see it. Is this guaranteed? No. Is it a lot of work? Yes. This is what we call an indirect backlink strategy. It's not guaranteed, but it is a good backlink building strategy. And since we have to write content anyway, why not write exceptional content that could generate backlinks? Number 2, guest blogging. So this is a process of posting an article that you have written to somebody else's website. They'll let you do it because it saves them time. You want to do it because you can guarantee yourself 1 backlink when you do it. 5 benefits of guest blogging. It's a backlink. Guest blogging. How to find guest blogging opportunities. I'll give this to you so you can have some tools in your toolbox for this. Step 1, open Google. Step 2, scrape Google for sites that are open to guest writers. Here's how you do that. You search where I have the brackets, don't have brackets, just put your topic. But where I have the quotes, put the quotes. So search your topic guest post. SEO agency guest post. SEO agency write for us. SEO agency guest article. SEO agency become an author. Those are the things you can search, and you will find people who are actively trying to get guest bloggers. Then check the domain authority of the sites you find. You only want to guest post for websites with a domain authority of 20 or more. How do you check the domain authority? Glad you asked. You go into SPARKY, our free software tool, and you go to DA and backlink checker, and then you type their URL in, and you copy and paste it, and it tells you the domain authority. Or you Google Moz domain authority checker. Either works. Step 4, pitch your guest post. Because they're looking for a guest poster, they probably have an internal process. Just follow their process. And number 3, press releases. So far, by the way, we did something that takes a lot of work. It's an indirect strategy. It's not guaranteed. Then we have a strategy that takes a lot of work. It's a direct strategy. It is guaranteed for 1 backlink. And now we have press releases. Press releases are fascinating because all a press release is a written document that summarizes important news regarding your company. When you submit a press release, you pay for it, and then it goes through a press syndicate and it gets published on all these different distributors. Sounds like a backlink buying scheme, doesn't it? Well, interesting enough, it's considered by Google to be an indirect backlink method. Google says they don't positively reward links from press releases, but they often result in more articles being written about your brand and more backlinks being generated. Google also does not penalize press releases. Google doesn't have a problem with them. It doesn't view them as backlink buying because they have a different intended purpose. Now, here's a crazy thing though. When you do the analysis, despite the fact that Google says press releases don't directly impact SERP rankings, they effectively always do. They're helpful. That's a cool one. This is why press releases are, in my agency, our favorite way of getting backlinks. They're not the only way we get backlinks because the backlinks they generate are no follow and do follow backlinks are better. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. Just do all the things that I said. Okay? So that's your off-site strategy. Get backlinks. All right, we talked about everything you can do to get your site ranking, get your Google Business Profile ranking. Now let's capture that last section of the SERP, the ad space. Let's talk about Google Ads. So the first things we need to understand about Google Ads are our KPIs. KPI stands for Key Performance Indicator. What are the numbers we care about and how do we do the math? So KPIs. First thing that we need to care about a lot is what is the cost per click? Because Google charges per click. We need to know our cost per click. 2, what is our conversion rate on the page that we send people to? How does it convert? 3, what is, I'm calling it for this purposes, I'm simplifying things to make it universal for all of us. What is our sales close rate? When somebody converts to a prospect on the website, what percentage of those become customers? Those are the 3 numbers we really need to know. Okay? How do you find your cost per click? So glad you asked. This is a place where tools like Keywords Everywhere can really come in handy. Remember I told you about Keywords Everywhere? If you search something like roofer leads, it'll tell you the search volume, it'll tell you the competition score, it'll give you a whole bunch of other potential keywords. Well, something I didn't mention at the time is that it also tells you the cost per click if you want to run an ad. So you can just use Keywords Everywhere to learn your cost per click. And I know you're expecting me to say, or go to Sparky, because Sparky does it for free. Sparky does not do cost per click. It doesn't. It's an SEO tool, not a Google Ads tool. So you also don't need to pay for Keywords Everywhere though, because you can just like Google keyword cost per click, and you can find tools that will tell you that are free. And you just put in the term that you want to run an ad for and learn what the cost per click is. That's how you get it. Okay. What about your conversion rate? Well, this is trickier. You need Google Analytics. You need to be able to track your own data. You need to see what percentage of people who go to the web page end up doing what you want them to do. And then let me give you a little bit of advice about this, because most local businesses don't have websites that are designed to convert, and therefore all the efforts they do to get people to the website off of Google are wasted. This is really important. So let me give you some examples of the ideal layout for any Google search, whether they clicked on your ad or they clicked on your organic ranking. So this is from Neil Patel Digital. They're an SEO agency, very large one, much bigger than mine. And they've been running this one for a while, and they change it every year, but it's basically the same. So here's what their website looks like when you go to it on desktop. Before you scroll, this is exactly what you see. You see what we learned in 2022 and where search is going in 2023. Fill out this form to get it. So what you can see format-wise is they have a headline, a little block of text, and then they have next to that an opt-in form. Opt-in form meaning people fill it out, they submit it, and they opted in. You got their information. They're now a lead. Okay? These convert really well. You want to give people what they're going to get and what action to take before they have to scroll. On mobile, you want to give the same information before they have to scroll. Another example, ClickFunnels is a software company, fantastic marketing company. ClickFunnels is a marketing software. So you can see on their web page, before you scroll, you see a very large H1, very large heading. Then you see H2, and then you see a button. So again, formula-wise, they told you what you get and what to do before you scroll. We give one more. This one is from Conversion Lab. Conversion Lab, you can see, gives you a headline, subheading, button. What you get, what you need to do before you scroll. This is the pattern. Highest converting websites on the internet always follow this formula. The average website on the internet only converts at 3%. The average website that shows you everything you need to do and nothing extra before you scroll converts at 10%. So ideally, you do what these two did and you don't even have a navigation bar. They get one option. That's how every website should be designed. It's proven to maximize conversion rates. And if you have that kind of a layout, you can run with estimates, you're probably going to convert at 10%. I have a website that looks like this. Right industry, right keywords, converts at 22%. You can get higher. Those are really good. All right, now we know our numbers. We need to do this very simple money math before we run ads to figure out what keywords we can and can't target with paid ads. Because everything comes down to money, right? When we're running ads, we have to spend money. It's got to make money. Otherwise, it's not worth it. You can put our cost per click. By the way, these numbers that I'm going to show you are not made up. These are actually from the first Google ads that I ever ran for my agency. At the time, we were selling a service to roofers exclusively. We were running Google ads for it. Worked really well. So our cost per click was on average $5.40. Our conversion rate on the landing page was 22.9%. Now, to figure out what our cost per lead was, cost per someone who actually filled out the form, all we do is 5.4 divided by 0.229, which is 22.9% written as a decimal. So 5.4 divided by 0.229, and we get that our cost per lead was $23.58. So every time we spent $23.58, we got someone's contact information who was interested in our services. Cost per lead. Sales close rate, I tried to find it. I couldn't find it. I don't know what it was in that season. I'm going to guess industry average for the sake of math right now. I'm going to guess 20%. You don't know? Go with industry averages. Healthy bets. Okay. So now we can figure out what our cost per sale is. And all we do is the same exact math. 23.58 divided by 0.2. We get that my cost per sale is $117.90. But now the real question, $117.90, is that profitable? Does that make money? And this is where a lot of people don't know what their standard ought to be. That's where the most important number in business comes in. Most important number in business is your lifetime gross profit to CAC ratio. LTGP to CAC. Lifetime gross profit to client acquisition cost. Okay? So at the time, we were selling a package on average was worth $5,000 in lifetime gross profit. Okay? Here's the ideal ratio that you need to make sure you maintain. You need to maintain a 3-to-1. So 3-to-1. So if it cost me $100 to get the sale, then my lifetime gross profit needs to be $300 or better. As long as you can maintain that, the largest companies in the world do, you can grow healthily. And that is the ratio you want to be shooting for. As long as you do that, you're going to be in good shape. But notice lifetime gross profit, not revenue. Big difference. Revenue is what they pay you. Profit's what you make. Big difference. All right. So now that we've talked about the math, you know how to do the math to figure out if I should be targeting these keywords or not. Now let's talk about building the actual ad. I'm just going to get into this. I'm actually just going to show you exactly what the Google Ad Builder looks like. And we're just going to build an ad together the exact way that I would for a local business. So go to ads.google.com and you're going to see a page like this probably. It does get updated often, so it'll be different. But at the top, we get a sign in or a start now. And then right here, we get a start now. When you click start now, I had to skip because it won't let me do it like I've never done it before. It's going to try to force you to make a new ad. And then it's going to give you a little highlight button at the bottom that says skip. Just skip. And then when you get into the builder, click create new ad. Follow this process. First thing it's going to show you is going to give you these options. Choose your objective. Now, you can test whatever you want. You can do whatever you want in this. I'm just going to zoom in on the things that I've found work best for local service businesses. And that's all we're going to be talking about. And then on your own, you can explore outside of that. So I found that The best options for us when we're first starting, if you don't have any data, anything to work with, you start with leads. Later on, you can move to targeting sales. Nothing else on this page should be targeted. You could do traffic if you don't even have enough data to do leads. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me break it down as simple as I can. This is all going to get better over time once you have tracking set up properly, because Google's going to get better and better at figuring out who exactly to show it to. So in the very early days, you can start with website traffic. And then once you get some data, you get enough leads that Google kind of knows who is a lead, you can switch to leads and Google will be better at sending you the right people. And then once you know who are sales, if you feed that data to Google, you can switch to sales. Those are the three. The other four we can always ignore. Okay. Next, it's going to ask you select a campaign type. You're always going to do search. It's going to ask you for a bidding type. You can do clicks or conversions. Same thing I just said. In the early days, you'll do clicks. Later on, you can do conversions. We're going to start with clicks. It's going to ask you for networks. Strong recommendation, uncheck both of them. In my experience, they just spend money without getting customers. And they make all your metrics look worse for what that's worth. Then it's going to ask you for your location. You're not going to pick all countries. You're not going to pick US and Canada. You're not even going to pick US. You're going to enter another location. Then you're going to click advanced search. And this pops up. Then you can tell it a 10-mile radius in your area, which is what I would recommend. You also want to make sure this bubble is pressed for don't press presence or interest. You want to press presence. Otherwise, it's showing people who aren't in your area still. All right, next. Languages. I highly recommend only advertising in languages you speak. Audience segments. If you did everything how I said to so far, the broad match keywords is not checkable. It's grayed out. If you're testing your own stuff, test your own stuff. Automatically created assets. Click off for now. One day that might change. And then keyword and asset generation. Skip. Then it's going to show you this. For your ad group 1, your keywords. And here's what you want to do. You want to list your keywords, one per line in this box. It'll try to generate some for you. Probably delete those into your own. Important thing to note. It's actually written here. A keyword written on its own, just the text, is what's called broad match. A keyword written with parentheses around it is what's called phrase match. And a keyword written with square brackets around it is what's called exact match. What does that mean? Exact match means this ad will only show up if people enter this exact phrase. Phrase match, quotes, means this will only show up if the phrase you're asking for is in whatever they searched. So the difference there is if I try to rank for just SEO, exact match, hard brackets, people will only see that if all they typed in was SEO. But if I use phrase match, I put quotes on it, then it will show up when people search for SEO agency. And if I do broad match, then it will show up whenever what they did search, Google thinks is similar enough. So I said SEO and somebody searched something, maybe they searched get ranked on Google. Here's my advice for you, what I've found historically. Broad match is too broad. Dramatically decreases your click-through rate, dramatically increases your cost per click, makes things more expensive, not worth doing. My experience for local businesses. My experience, exact match is too narrow. Not enough people search for it on a local level when you have a tight geographic area. So if you do a exact match, you won't get any traffic. And therefore, I believe for local businesses, we should be doing phrase match, which is why all of these have quotes on them. Cool. Next thing it shows you is actually constructing the ad. The text here is just what it auto-generated. I didn't change it because I just want to talk about a general principle here. So you'll see that for the headlines, it gives you the ability to write up to 15 headlines. But it's only ever going to show 2. And it only requires 3. So my recommendation is to write 3 and then pin them in the order you want them read. It's not hard to write a good ad. And pin, by the way, you just pin it, you just tell it, this is where this is going to stay. Similarly for the description. Title, description. Similarly for the description. It gives you the ability to write 4, but it will only show 2. So I'd only write 2, and I'd pin them in the order I want them in. You're like, but I don't know how to write the ad. Don't worry, that's what we're going to cover next, okay? Next thing it brings you to is budgeting. It will default to trying to get you to spend a certain amount of money, but you can select custom budget and input whatever you want. So what should you input? Well, the ideal, in my opinion, if we know that our landing page is going to convert at 10%, and we want to get data fast, we want to do this like real business owners. We're not just doing it by the gut, but we're doing it by the numbers. Then we want to get a minimum of 1 lead a day. Therefore, we can get 30 leads in a month because 30 is the least number you need to have statistical significance so that you know that your data is valid. I want 30 leads so I can say, hey, how many of these leads am I converting? So I can start analyzing and I start tweaking and fixing problems and improving. So I would want to get 30 leads in a month, 30 leads in a week, or 30 leads in a day if your budget allows, but let's say at least a month. And in a month, we can run a proper test. So my average cost per click for the Google's telling me my average cost per click is going to be $1.68. I want 1 lead. I need to spend $17 a day because they only convert at 10%, right? So $17 a day, I get a lead a day. So that's what I do. 10 times your cost per lead. Or, I'm sorry, 10 times your cost per click. That is what I would do, ideally. Can't do it, that's okay. Do what you can because it's actually very forgiving. Just makes things take longer. And if you can spend more, things will happen faster. All right, that is actually like it. After you do that, it's just gonna be like, all right, you run your ad now. Which is super cool. So how to write the Google ad. Let's talk about that for a moment, and this is gonna be the last thing we talk about today. So writing headlines. I'm gonna give you a couple formulas that work because what you're gonna find is writing really good headlines, writing well to convert is actually really easy. So I'm gonna give you a simple formulas that you can use. Any of them work. My favorite formula for real marketing is a simple yes question. Want a website that gets more clients? Yes, I do. That's my favorite one. Just ask a yes question. Someone searches for full re-roof. I don't know how many people search it, but full re-roof, Fort Collins. Ask them, Fort Collins residents, do you need a full re-roof? Right? Call out target audience. That's what I just did. Attention chiropractors. Attention Fort Collins. Attention small business owners. Just call them out. They stop and listen. Psychology. They can't not. Kind of like saying someone's name. They can't not listen. State the end result in plain English. More leads, more calls, more sales. Let's go. Full re-roof. That's it. By the way, that's it. Like I gave you 3. Why did I only give you 3? Because that's all you need. Like pick one, write a good headline. That's it. You know, like what headline, title. That's it. Simple formulas. You're restricted in character count to 30 characters, so you need to be very intentional about them. Simple. What about the descriptions? Well, I'll give you 2 formulas for this. You're restricted to 90 characters and 90 characters, so 180 total. I thought I changed this. No, that's fine. Huh. Okay, there's a small typo in here. This is not the AIDA formula. This is the PAS formula. My mistake. So PAS, AIDA is just, it's a longer formula. It doesn't work for Google ads. It's too restrictive. This is the PAS formula. PAS stands for problem, agitate, solution. So that's all we're going to do. We're going to do problem, agitate, and solution. So we're going to identify the problem, and we're going to twist the knife on it, then we're going to get them a solution. Tired of waking up stiff and sore? Problem. Back pain, stealing your energy and focus? Agitation. 500 plus locals feel better already. Solution. Book your first session and start healing faster. And remember, this is a description. It goes with the headline about the chiropractor. And notice how I use 2 yes questions. I like yes questions a lot. Next, I'll give you the FAB formula. This is really nice. This is probably going to be the one most of you use and should. FAB formula. Feature, advantage, benefit. Very simple. Feature, advantage, benefit. So check it out. Same topic. Expert chiropractor care with proven results. There's the feature. There's what it is. Here's the advantage. Over 500 locals already helped. Here's the benefit. feel better, move easier, and get back to doing what you love today. Should have been love. There's a typo. Simple. Very, very, very simple. Don't overthink it. Clear always outperforms clever. In marketing, in advertising, clear always outperforms clever. Don't try to be very clever. Just try to make money. Okay? Okay. That's it. That's what I got for you guys. So on the screen, I talked a lot about Sparky. If you want it, get Sparky. Great tool. If you know, for the recording, when I upload this somewhere, I always have a link for Sparky. I'll also have a link to my website and maybe to a calendar if you want to like talk to me about maybe how I can do all these things for you, because we do operate a full, Windfall is a fully functioning SEO agency. And what you're going to find is actually that we are catered. Everything we do is designed to make the #1 traffic source in America, Google, accessible to small businesses, the local businesses. And that's historically not a thing. Historically, these things are too prohibitively expensive and time consuming, so nobody gets it. That's why we built Sparky for free. So it's no longer a barrier of time or money, because it helped you with both. And that's also why you're going to find that our approach to SEO services is so streamlined, so efficient, so good that we can actually give you way better rates than any marketing agency you've ever seen. And we're not cheap. We are way better rates because we do things better. So I'll include all those links for wherever the videos go. And that's what I have for you guys. Thank you.